Christmas is a time supposed to be full of joy, eating good food, giving gifts, most importantly spending time with those you hold dear. On Christmas Eve in 1945, it was a night full of fear and terror for the Sodder family. A house fire burnt rampant through their family home, and 5 of their children disappeared without a trace, never to be seen again. This is Nightmare Factory, and today we will look at the disappearance of the Sodder children. Parents Jenny and George Sodder had 10 children in total, 9 of which were staying with them during the time. Christmas was obviously a busy time for the family, having so many kids running around. The children were allowed to open a present each before bedtime, and had managed to negotiate a later bedtime than normal to play with their new toys. Eventually, with the children all settled in bed, it was time for Jenny and George to head to bed as well. Now, around 12:30 AM, Jenny was woken up by what appeared to be a prank caller. She reported that she could hear glasses clinking in the background and someone laughing down the phone. Now, Jenny hung up, thinking nothing of it. She was then woken up again with a large object hitting the roof, but decided to ignore it. The last time Jenny was woken up was at around 1:30 AM when she could smell smoke. Jenny rushed through to George's office where a fire had started. Panicking, Jenny woke George up, who both rushed around the home to wake up all the children and get them outside. However, 5 of the children were in the attic, which was blocked by the fire itself. Jenny tried to phone the fire department, however the phone was not working, so they couldn't get through. One of the children ran to the neighbour's house and managed to get hold of the fire department, who were very short-staffed and not able to attend for a long time. It was then George ran to the side of the house to retrieve his ladder to try and climb up the attic. However, strangely, the ladder was not where it usually was. It was later found in a ditch near the house. In a last-ditch attempt, with the screams of the family outside trying to tell the children to get out, George went to get his 2 trucks to the side of the house to try and climb up. However, neither truck would start, which had both been working the day before. The family were forced to sit and watch their home burn down, with 5 of their children trapped inside. The fire brigade did not arrive until the morning. At this point, their once family home was a charred remnant of what it had once been. The Sodder family believed at this point that their 5 children had perished in the blaze. The fire department went to work and started sifting through the ash and rubble to locate the bodies of the children. Nobody could possibly believe that they would never find anything. No remains, no bodies, no remnant of the children's existence. It was almost as though the children were never there at all. 5 days after the fire, George wanted to bulldoze the house to create a memorial garden for the children that they had lost. They couldn't stand the sight of the smouldering embers of their once happy family home. Once the initial shock had begun to wear off, the family began asking questions. The family had been told that the fire was an electrical fire. However, George strangely remembered being outside staring at the burning home and could still see the Christmas lights were working. If it had been an electrical fire, all the power to the house would have been cut immediately. It was then later found by the telephone company that someone had deliberately cut the telephone line leading to the house, hence why the phone wasn't working. Now remember that Jenny received a phone call at 12:30 AM showing the line still working, and at around 1:45 AM the phone was no longer working. In this time period, a fire had started and someone had intentionally cut their telephone line. Now at this point the family started questioning how no human remains were found in the property. They contacted a local crematorium who told them a fire burning at 2000 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 hours, both hotter and longer than the house fire, would still leave human bones intact. Now at this point was when other accounts from locals started coming in from that night. A local bus driver claimed he had seen people throwing what he described as balls of fire at the house. Jenny remembered the loud bang that she had heard that woke her up, so looking around the property, George found a small green ball which resembled a pineapple bomb, a form of hand grenade. At this point, more sightings came in from locals. People claimed that they'd seen the children in a car on the night of the fire. A waitress claimed that the day after the fire she had served them food about 80 kilometres away. However, perhaps one of the strangest sightings was from a woman working in a hotel near where the family stayed. She claimed that the 5 children had stayed at the hotel a week after the fire, with 2 men and 2 women who were of Italian descent. Now, something I have not spoken about was that both George and Jenny were Italian immigrants, of which both had separately moved to the States when they were younger. They stayed in a predominantly Italian neighbourhood, and George had made a lot of enemies due to his bitter hatred of Mussolini, the Italian dictator at the time. Many threats had been made to George by other Italians in the neighbourhood, including an insurance salesman who became very angry when George did not take his insurance, telling them their house would be destroyed by a fire. At this point, George was convinced that his children had been kidnapped by the Italian mafia due to how outspoken he was about Mussolini. Around 2 years after the fire, George had not given up hope. George decided to contact the FBI and actually received a personal response from J. Edgar Hoover, who oversaw the FBI at the time. Hoover stated that he would be happy to help in this if the local law authorities would allow it. However, the local police and fire department did not want to investigate the case further, fueling George with more doubt about the whole situation, convincing him more that this was a cover-up. George decided at this point his only option was to contact a private detective named C.C. Tinsley. Now, Tinsley managed to uncover some strange and peculiar things surrounding the case. Tinsley discovered that a member of the jury who found the house burned down due to an electrical fault was the insurance broker who was very angry with George regarding his remarks about Mussolini. Tinsley also spoke to a local priest who told him that the fire chief had confessed to finding a human heart in the ashes, which he had now hidden in a metal box and buried at the home. Tinsley managed to convince the chief to show him where he had buried the box, in which they found it was actually a beef liver, not a heart, that hadn't even been touched by fire. Confused by this, the chief explained that he had done this to hopefully give the family some closure that remains had been found. Now, sightings carried on for a long time, and George and Jenny never gave up hope. They erected a billboard in 1952 with a reward for any information on the disappearance of their children. However, nobody ever came forward. The last substantial clue that they received was in 1967. Jenny received a photo of a middle-aged man which had written on the back, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, Lil Boys, A90132 or 35. Jenny was convinced that this was her missing son Louis, however they could never decode the writing on the back and never knew of anyone called Frankie. Unfortunately, this really was when the case went cold. George passed away in 1969 and Jenny passed in 1989. The remaining children at this point took down the billboard, and that was the last the case was really spoken about. So what happened to the Sodder children? Was it simply a tragic fire where 5 children perished far too young, leaving a broken family? Or was this a cover-up involving the Italian mafia and local law enforcement due to bitter hatred against George? It's a case that has been unsolved for so long, and unfortunately we may never have an answer. I hope this case piqued your interest like it piqued mine. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Please like, comment and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell button to receive notifications. This is Nightmare Factory shutting down for the night, and I hope to see you all soon.